Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome back to our home renovation remodel project. So far we have been focusing here on the addition here on the back, but today we're going to be taking a little bit of an aside, a little bit of a break from that to start on the addition that's going to be on the front. So in addition to the addition on the back is also going to be a small sort of bump out addition on the front of the house where the front door is right now, and that is going to be where the new kitchen sink area is going to be. So as we come around here, this is going to be where the work area is going to be. We have basement level, main level, and second level. So this addition area only calls for the main level to have an addition, and the addition is going to bump this front wall out to be flush with this outside wall here, which should give us a few feet of interior space in this direction. That's also going to move our front door from here to over here. Hi kids. So let me show you the plans real quick for a little bit of context. So this is the back of the house. This is what we've been working on so far, and this is what's going to be happening here at the front of the house. Just this little bump out right here, and really nothing else. And again, just as the floor plan goes, there's the addition on the back of the house we've been working on, and this is the little bump out here on the front. So it's going to give us a little more room here in the kitchen, and this is where the kitchen sink is going to go. Now if we flip to the basement view, you can see for the addition on the back we have a full basement, but here in the front we're actually not doing really anything crazy for a foundation. We're just installing 2 support posts in here, and then we'll have a beam which carries the weight of that addition. So today we're going to be dealing with these 2 support posts. And if we hop over to the plan view, we can see exactly what we're going to do along this front wall. So we're going to be building all this up, but today it's all about the base, and we're doing helical piles. These helical piles, these helical piers, whatever you would like to call them, they are actually pretty cool. They're essentially just screwed into the ground, and that becomes your footing for whatever you're building. So I thought that'd be an interesting way to go for this. So they will be here in a little while to install these things, and I'm excited to see how it all goes. It's basically just like an auger attachment for like whatever, if they're bringing a skid steer or an excavator, I'm not really sure, but just like a normal auger. But instead of the auger drilling in the ground and pulling all the dirt up, the auger drills in the ground, and then the auger stays in the ground.
Dig down a foot, cut these to 3.
Okay.
Hopefully slide on a 3-foot extension.
I pretty much just gotta stay straight, and I'll just turn my cab. So.
That works.
I'm more set up for this one.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what I wasn't sure is how much of a reach this has.
Oh, being able to cut the piles down and everything, and so.
All right, counter. A little bit more. Go back. More. Go back a little bit. All these piles are 60 KSI steel, and the threaded rod that we have on the actual U-bracket is 90 KSI. So it's rated for, these are rated for 60,000. Threaded rod's rated for 90. Everything we have is galvanized as well. So it's been tested in 30 years of salt water, which Minnesota, you know, not having salt water, I'm thinking life expectancy for us here. And then all the inside of the piles are insulated too with polyurethane and spray foam. And it's just because like there's a lot of places we install that have high water tables. Okay. And water, like sometimes there's some installs we do where right when we put the pile in, there's water in the pile already. Yeah. And so there's like a good 3-foot section of insulation so the water never gets down to the helix and freezes and still heaves the pile. So I'll go another 3-4 inches. A little bit more block. Pull her hair. Play on the monies. So pretty much we'll set that knuckle in there with a bolt. Basically tightens that knuckle. The threaded rod in there is basically free spinning, and just until you get the weight of that post on there, then it's and that's pretty much just because that's one of the biggest things with our product is we do have adjustability with that U-bracket up and down.
So jumping forward in time a little bit, here is the final installation with the post, or at least pretty close to it. We are waiting for some plates to come in that will secure the post to our beam here, but otherwise this is kind of your general setup, and having the adjustability in the screw mechanism on top of there made setting these posts super easy because you have some up and down adjustability, so you don't have to worry about cutting your posts super precisely, which is a nice kind of plus. So lastly, I thought I'd just kind of run through the pros and cons and the costs of the install so you can have some idea of if this is a good thing for your project or what have you. So our total cost on these two install was $1,600. Now our installation was a little more challenging, so we don't have a whole lot of headroom in here to work. So at the beginning of the video, you saw them cutting down the initial screw to a shorter length and then adding extensions. The extensions cost us additional $300, so we had that additional charge. Our engineer also specced some larger screws than you would typically use for like a deck or something, so keep that in mind too. These are much larger ones than you would have for a normal type of installation. So a couple of the few quick pros of this thing. The biggest pro by far is the speed. It goes in the ground really quickly. They're in and out with the install, and you're good to go. You can start building that same day. If you want to compare that to the speed of like a concrete footing that you would normally do, if you have the digging time on that, and then you have obviously the cure time on the concrete before you can start building stuff up. And if you're in an area that requires inspections, you might have some lead time to have your footings inspected before you could do your actual pour. Next thing here on my list is that they are reusable and movable. So if you're doing something temporary where you need a good foundation and you want to move it around or something, these would be pretty good for that because they just unscrew out of the ground. You can move them wherever you want to put your structure next or something, if that's some kind of use case that makes sense. And the last thing is the adjustability with a screw mechanism on top of there. You have the flexibility to move your post up and down, so you don't need to be as super precise with the cuts on your post to get them cut to length. If they end up a little short, doesn't matter, just screw them up a little bit. Makes it super easy. On the con side of things, the biggest one is going to be the soil conditions. So if you have like big rocks or things like that, you may or may not be able to use these, or you may have to put them somewhere else, so you might have some issues with that. Where we are here, as you see, it's all sand here, so these can go like anywhere, so that's not a huge problem for us here, but it could be depending on where you're at. And then lastly is the cost. These are a lot more money than just digging a hole and pouring concrete into it. If you're doing like a fully DIY concrete footing and you're just looking at material costs, this is going to be astronomically more money than doing that because you're not valuing your time. But if you're outsourcing the footing work and you need to get equipment or something, the costs start to come a little closer. This is still going to be more, but yeah, this is easier. Like that's kind of where that's at. And then lastly, when they do the install, you do get a printout of the specs on the two footings for your records. So as they're installing it on the machine, they have a readout that tells them the torque that they're applying to the screw, and that will translate into the bearing strength of your footings. So for our engineering specs, we needed a bearing strength of 2,000 pounds per, and we ended up at, this one here has a bearing strength of 4,770 pounds. That is a torque of 1,060 foot-pounds that was being applied to that screw. And the one over there is even higher. It's 6,500 pounds, and the torque required on that one, or the torque achieved, was 1,450 foot-pounds. So I don't know, it's kind of an interesting system. I really wanted to try this just because I saw it online, and I'm like, this seems like a pretty cool thing to see and share. So I don't know, I'm happy. I'm really happy that we didn't put our own concrete footings in here, because digging a hole for one of those things under here with sand where the stability of the hole you're digging isn't super great, you'd be digging a really big hole and then backfilling. So this was a perfect solution for our weird installation. So we'll get back into the addition on the back here, but for now, this is a little preview of what's going to be happening here on the front of the house. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on the screw piles, the additions, or anything back in the shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.